The plasma bolt screamed past Maya Carter's helmet, close enough to superheat the air and leave her ears ringing. She dove behind a shattered rock formation, her rifle clutched tight against her chest, heart hammering against her ribs. The reconnaissance mission had gone sideways in under 60 seconds. Her squad was scattered across the canyon, pinned down by enemy fire that came from 3 directions at once. "Carter, fall back!" Sergeant Torres screamed through the comm, but his voice cut out mid-sentence, replaced by static and the wet crunch of something terrible. Maya didn't wait to find out what. She sprinted left, boots skidding on loose gravel as energy blasts chewed through stone behind her. The contested planet Kara 7 had been advertised as low risk. Abandoned outposts. Minimal contact. Just another boring patrol on the edge of human-controlled space. Nobody mentioned the ambush. Nobody mentioned the Vask. A shadow moved on her right. Maya spun, finger tightening on the trigger, but something slammed into her from behind. The world tilted. Her rifle flew from her grip. She hit the ground hard, tasted blood, and felt cold metal clamp around her wrists before she could draw her sidearm. Her vision blurred. Rough hands hauled her upright. She kicked out, connected with something soft, heard a grunt, then pain exploded across the back of her skull and everything went dark. When Maya woke, she was moving. Her wrists were bound behind her back with magnetic cuffs that hummed against her skin. Her head pounded. The floor beneath her vibrated with the steady thrum of engines. A transport. She forced her eyes open and immediately regretted it. The cargo hold was dim, lit only by strips of red emergency lighting. The air smelled like oil and something organic, something rotten. She wasn't alone. Across from her, chained to the opposite wall, was a Korthan warrior. Maya's breath caught. She'd seen Korthan soldiers before, usually through a rifle scope. They were humanity's fiercest enemy in the outer colonies, brutal and efficient, with technology that outmatched Earth's military in almost every category. This one was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with slate-gray skin covered in natural armor plating that looked like overlapping scales. His eyes were a deep amber, slitted like a predator's, and they were locked on her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. He didn't speak, neither did she. They just stared at each other as the transport rumbled through space. An hour passed, maybe 2. Time felt meaningless. Finally, the Korthan shifted, his chains rattling. When he spoke, his voice was a low growl, but the words were clear. Universal Translator Implant, she realized. Standard issue for both their militaries. "Human," he said. "Where are we?" Maya's throat was dry. "How the hell should I know?" His eyes narrowed. "You were captured on Kara 7, so was I. We're not prisoners of your people or mine." That made her pause. She looked around the cargo hold again, noticing details she'd missed before. The design was wrong. Not human. Not Korthan either. The walls were covered in strange geometric patterns, almost organic, and the restraints weren't military grade. They were cruder, heavier, built for one purpose only. Vask, she whispered. The Korthan's expression darkened. Yes. Maya's stomach twisted. The Vask were scavengers, slavers, worse. They didn't take sides in the human-Korthan war. They just picked off the weak, the wounded, the unlucky. Rumor had it they ran prison camps in the deep void, places where captives were never seen again. "They're taking us to one of their camps," the Korthan said, as if reading her mind. "The Crucible." She'd heard the name before. Whispered in barracks, dismissed as propaganda. A place where prisoners fought in arena trials, pitted against bioengineered horrors for Vask entertainment. Most didn't survive the first day. Maya met the Korthan's gaze. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Zeth." "Maya." He nodded once, a slight dip of his chin. "When we arrive, they will chain us together. That's how it works. Enemies forced to cooperate, it amuses them." Her pulse quickened. "You've been there before?" "No, but I've heard stories from those who escaped." "How many escape?" Zeth's silence was answer enough. The transport shuddered as it docked. Heavy footsteps echoed outside the cargo hold. The door hissed open, and 3 Vascards stepped inside. They were tall and thin, almost skeletal, with skin like wet leather, and too many joints in their limbs. They moved with a twitchy insectoid efficiency that made Maya's skin crawl. One of them approached, holding a length of chain with shackles on both ends. It grabbed Maya by the arm, wrenched her forward, and clamped one shackle around her left wrist. Then it crossed the hold and did the same to Zeth, binding them together with less than 6 feet of chain between them. The guard leaned close to Maya. Its breath smelled like sulfur. "Survive," it hissed, "and you might live long enough to regret it." Then they were dragged out of the transport, through narrow corridors slick with condensation, and thrown into a holding cell. The door slammed shut. Maya stumbled, caught herself against the wall, and turned to find Zeth watching her. "They'll put us in the arena tomorrow," he said quietly. "We'll face something designed to kill us. If we don't work together, we die." Maya's jaw tightened. "I don't work with Corthan. Then you'll die human." His amber eyes burned. "But I have a proposal." She crossed her arms as much as the chain allowed. "I'm listening." Zeth straightened, and despite the chains, despite the blood crusted on his armor, he looked every inch the warrior. "In my culture, a life debt is sacred. If you help me survive the trials, I will pledge myself to you. My strength, my loyalty, my life." Maya laughed bitterly. "What's the catch?" "No catch, only honor." He stepped closer, the chain between them pulling taut. "Survive this, Maya Carter, and I'm yours." She searched his face for deception, for mockery, but found only grim sincerity, and beneath that, something else. Desperation, because he knew, just like she did, that alone they were both already dead. Maya took a breath. "Fine, we survive together." Zeth nodded. "Then, we have an accord." Neither of them slept. They sat in opposite corners of the cell watching each other, the chain, a constant reminder of their forced bond. Maya studied Zeth the way she'd studied enemy combatants through scopes, looking for weaknesses, patterns, anything she could use. But up close, he was different. His armor bore scars, deep gouges that spoke of battles survived. His hands, massive and clawed, moved with careful precision when he adjusted his restraints. A soldier, she realized, just like her. "Why were you on Kara Bennett?" she asked finally. Zeth glanced up. "Reconnaissance. Your people were expanding into contested territory. It's our territory. You arrived 3 years ago. My people have been there for 30. Maya bit back a retort. It didn't matter. "Not here. And now we're both prisoners of something worse. Yes." Zeth leaned his head back against the wall. "Tell me, Maya, why do humans fight so hard? Your bodies are weak, your technology inferior, yet you never surrender." She bristled. "We're not weak." His gaze was thoughtful, not mocking. "But your will, that's something else." Maya considered her answer carefully. "Because we don't have a choice. You came to our colonies. You killed our people. We fight because if we don't, we lose everything. And we fight because you expand without permission into regions we've protected for generations." Zeth's voice was quiet. "We're not so different, human." She wanted to argue, wanted to list every atrocity, every battle, every reason to hate him. But the words stuck in her throat. Because sitting here, chained together in a vast prison cell, maybe he was right. The door opened without warning. Guards flooded in, grabbed them both, and dragged them down another series of corridors. Maya's heart raced. She could hear it now. The roar of a crowd. The metallic clang of gates. The wet snarls of something inhuman. They were thrown into a tunnel. Ahead, a gate blocked their path. Beyond it, blinding light and the unmistakable stench of blood. Zeth pulled the chain taut, forcing Maya to stand beside him. "Stay close. Move when I move. Strike when I strike. I'm a soldier, not a rookie. Then act like one." The gate rose. Light flooded in. Maya's eyes adjusted, and her stomach dropped. They were in an arena, circular, maybe 200 feet across. The walls were smooth stone, impossible to climb. Seating ringed the top, hundreds of vast spectators chittering and hissing with anticipation. And across the arena, 3 massive shapes moved in the shadows, razor-spine predators. Maya had seen images in military briefings. Native to a hell world in the outer reach, they were all muscle and claw and teeth, with spines along their backs that could launch like projectiles. One alone could tear through a squad. There were 3, back to back, Szeth commanded. Maya didn't argue. She pressed her spine against his, feeling the heat of his body through the armor. The chain between their wrists gave them just enough room to maneuver. The predators circled intelligent, testing them. The first, one lunged. Szeth moved like lightning, his clawed hand catching the creature by the throat mid-leap. He twisted, using its momentum to slam it into the ground. Maya spun with him, the chain whipping around, and kicked out hard at the second predator. Her boot connected with its jaw, bone cracked. It howled and staggered back. The third predator launched its spines. Maya dropped flat, pulling Szeth down with her. The spines whistled overhead, embedding in the arena wall with sharp cracks. "Left!" Szeth shouted. Maya rolled left. Szeth surged right. The chain caught the first predator across the throat, guarding it. It thrashed, claws raking furrows in the stone, and then went still. 2 left. They moved in sync now, reading each other's movements, compensating for the chain. When Maya dodged, Szeth covered her flank. When Szeth struck, Maya created openings. The second predator lunged at her. She sidestepped, grabbed the chain with both hands, and swung it like a whip. The metal links caught the beast across the eyes. It screamed. Szeth was there in an instant, claws tearing through its exposed throat. Blood sprayed. The creature collapsed. 1 left. The final predator was smarter. It circled, keeping distance, spines bristling. Maya's breath came hard and fast. Her wrists ached from the shackles. Szeth was bleeding from a gash across his shoulder, dark blood soaking his armor. The predator feinted left. Szeth moved to intercept. But it was a trap. The beast pivoted right, straight at Maya. She had 1 second. No weapon, no cover. Just instinct. She charged forward, inside the creature's reach, and drove her knee into its lower jaw with every ounce of strength she had. Its head snapped back, stunned. Szeth was there, his claws plunging into the base of its skull. It twitched once, twice, then went limp. Silence. Maya stood there, chest heaving, covered in blood that wasn't hers. Szeth straightened beside her. The crowd erupted in hisses and clicks. Approval or disappointment, she couldn't tell. A door opened across the arena. Guards gestured. They stumbled toward it, still chained, still breathing. Back in the cell, Maya collapsed against the wall. Her hands shook. Szeth sat across from her, methodically cleaning blood from his claws. "You fight well," he said. "So do you." He looked at her then. Really looked, and something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. "We survived the first trial," he said quietly. "There will be more." Maya nodded. "Then we'd better get stronger." The next day, they were given barely enough time to eat, some kind of nutrient paste that tasted like metal, before the guards returned. This time, they were led to a different section of the facility. The corridor sloped downward, and the air grew colder. Maya could hear machinery grinding somewhere deep below. They were thrown into a new arena. This one was different, narrow, maze-like, with walls that shifted and groaned. The floor was slick with some kind of viscous fluid that smelled acidic. "A maze," Maya muttered. Szeth tested the wall with one claw. The metal hissed and bubbled where he touched it. "Acid-coated, don't touch the walls." A klaxon blared. The maze walls began to move, sliding and reconfiguring. And from somewhere in the depths came the mechanical whir of something hunting. They ran. The chain between them forced coordination. If one stumbled, both fell. Maya's boots slipped on the slick floor. Szeth caught her by the arm, steadying her without a word. They turned corners, backtracked when paths collapsed. Always moving. The whirring grew louder, closer. Then they saw it, a hunter-killer unit, spider-like, with 8 segmented legs and a sensor cluster for a head. Its limbs ended in plasma cutters that glowed white-hot. It skittered along the walls, immune to the acid, tracking them with mechanical precision. "We can't fight that," Maya said. "We don't have to," Szeth pointed. There, the control node. She saw it, a small panel on the hunter-killer's back, glowing faintly. If they could disable it, the machine would shut down, but that meant getting close, very close. The walls shifted again. They were herded into a dead end. The hunter-killer advanced, plasma cutters whining. "Distract it," Szeth said. "How?" "Trust me." Maya didn't have time to argue. Szeth yanked the chain, pulling her to the left. The hunter-killer tracked the movement. Maya grabbed a piece of debris and hurled it at the sensor cluster. It struck home. The machine pivoted toward her. Cutters raised. Szeth moved. He leaped onto the hunter-killer's back, claws digging into the metal plating. The machine thrashed, trying to shake him off. Maya saw her opening. She ran forward, jumped, and grabbed the control node with both hands. Her fingers found the release latch. She twisted hard. The node popped free in a shower of sparks. The hunter-killer froze mid-motion. Its legs locked. Its cutters dimmed. Szeth dropped to the ground, breathing hard. Maya held up the node. "Got it." Szeth stared at her for a moment, then a rare smile crossed his face. "Well done." Together, they used the node to unlock their shackles. The magnetic cuffs fell away with a clatter. For the first time since capture, Maya's wrists were free. She rubbed the raw skin, meeting Szeth's gaze. "Now what?" "Now," he said, "we free the others." The facility had dozens of prisoners, human and Korthan alike, kept in separate blocks to prevent cooperation. But with the control node, Szeth was able to override door locks. They moved quickly, quietly, freeing captives as they went. A human pilot named Carter recognized Maya. "Lieutenant!" "What's the plan?"
"We take the hangar," Maya said.
"Steal a ship. Get out." A Korthan warrior named Vrynn stepped forward. "The Vask Warden will activate the purge protocol if we rebel. The entire facility will self-destruct." Szeth nodded. "Then we move fast." They gathered weapons from fallen guards, organized into squads, mixed human and Korthan units moving in coordinated strikes. It was surreal, fighting alongside the enemy, but survival made strange allies. They fought through corridors, using stolen access codes to disable security. The Vask guards were unprepared for organized resistance. Maya led one squad, Szeth another, and they converged on the central command center. The warden waited there, a grotesque Vask overseer twice the size of its kin, augmented with cybernetic limbs. When it saw them, it hissed in fury and slammed one massive hand on a console. Alarms screamed. Red lights flooded the facility. 15 minutes until total purge, a mechanical voice announced. The warden lunged. Szeth met it head-on, claws against metal. Maya fired her stolen rifle, targeting the cybernetic joints. The warden was fast, impossibly strong, but they'd fought worse in the arena. Szeth took a plasma blast to the shoulder. He staggered. The warden raised a limb to crush him. Maya didn't think. She just moved. She threw herself between them, absorbing the blow with her body. Pain exploded through her ribs. She hit the floor hard, gasping. Szeth roared. He tore into the warden with savage fury, ripping through metal and flesh until the creature collapsed in a sparking heap. Maya. Szeth dropped beside her, his hands hovering over her injuries. "Why did you—" "We had a deal." He stared at her, something raw and unguarded in his eyes. Then he lifted her gently, cradling her against his chest. "Then we finished this together." The remaining prisoners had secured the hangar. Ships were powering up. Szeth carried Maya aboard the nearest transport, set her down carefully, and took the pilot's seat. 10 minutes, someone shouted. The transport lifted off. Behind them, the facility began to collapse, explosions rippling through the structure. They cleared the docking bay just as the final detonation turned the prison into a fireball. In the cargo hold, Maya lay against the wall, every breath agony. Szeth knelt beside her, his own blood still seeping from the shoulder wound. "You kept your word," she said quietly. "I'm Korthan. We don't break oaths." He paused. You saved my life in there. You didn't have to. Yeah, I did. Maya managed a weak smile. Partners, remember? Zeth reached out and took her hand in his, massive and clawed, but surprisingly gentle. I pledged myself to you, Maya Carter. That hasn't changed. Survive this, and I'm yours. You survived, so I am yours. She squeezed his hand. This is going to make the war really complicated. Yes. His amber eyes gleamed. But perhaps that's not such a bad thing. Around them, human and Korthan survivors sat together, exhausted, bloodied, but alive. Enemies who had fought side by side, who had seen each other not as monsters, but as soldiers, as people. The transport jumped to FTL, leaving the burning prison behind. Maya didn't know what came next. Didn't know how Command would react, or how their peoples would respond. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She and Zeth had survived the impossible. Together, and whatever came next, they'd face it the same way.